hopefully tomorrow. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Lynchburg. We're glad you are here. Whoever you are, whatever your beliefs, whatever your age, and whomever you love, you are welcome here. As we work together for justice, compassion, and peace, we also acknowledge with humility that our buildings sit on Monacan land. My name is Kim Sinha. I've been involved in this church for 21 years, something like that. If you are with us for the first time or on Zoom or in the sanctuary, we are glad you chose to be here this morning to participate in the service for this congregation we love. If you would like to receive our monthly newsletter and Friday email updates, please fill out the virtual visitor card found on our website, uulynchburg.org, O-R-G, under Sunday services, or you can also fill out a little yellow card that are in the seat pockets and put that in the offering basket at that time. The next 2 weeks, we will have guest ministers. Next week, the Reverend Eve Stevens will be with us virtually from Asheville. She's done this before, and it was really a good experience, so I'm eager to hear from her again. On the 19th, the Reverend Ben Moore, Senior Minister of Timberlake Christian Church, Disciples of Christ, will be preaching on the topic, Listen to Love. Reverend Terry will be preaching at First Christian Church, Disciples of Christ. We are grateful to have a strong interfaith clergy group in Lynchburg and look forward to annual pulpit exchanges in the future. Are there any announcements?
Oh, Molly has one.
Oh, go ahead, Ma. What time? The Alliance meets at noon on Thursday at Westminster Canterbury. Thank you. Okay.
Kim, could they turn down the piano microphone, please?
I'm sorry?
Could they turn down the piano microphone, please? It's very loud.
Okay. The tech in the back gave me a thumbs up, so hopefully that works. Anything else? Thank you, Dick, for letting us know. All right. Now let's greet each other. Let's take a moment to wave our greetings to our friends on Zoom, and for our Zoom folks to wave good morning to those of us in the sanctuary.
We light our chalice with these words. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, O Spirit of life. I invite us now to rise in body or spirit as we share together hymn number 124, Be That Guide. Today we take an offering of our gifts for the work. What? I'm sorry. Oh, I did mess up, didn't I? Yeah. You want to do that? Okay. So we're taking an offering of our gift and then going back to the order of service. I would like to invite our children and those young at heart to come forward. I feel like I'm a child today because it's a new year. There might be some other people who feel like, yay. Okay. Hey, Polly, come join us. You're right in time. Thanks for coming up to join us.
Okay, let's see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids.
That's great, half a dozen. So, today is what? It's the 5th of January. It's the first Sunday in 2025. And tomorrow is January 6th. And there are a lot of things that we remember on January 6th. And the one we're going to talk about today is Epiphany. And actually, we thought Christmas was over way back in December, but there are actually 12 days of Christmas, and the 6th is the final. And in a lot of countries, they believe that the 6th of January was when the wise men finally got to Bethlehem. They had a long way to go, and they rode on camels. And camels are ornery critters sometimes. And once I was visiting some people in Puerto Rico, and I visited in some other countries where children get presents not on Christmas, but on Three Kings Day. That's what the 6th of January is often called. And you know what they do? Instead of putting like cookies and milk out for Santa, they put their shoes out and put straw in their shoes for the camels to eat. I always wanted to celebrate that holiday. And they do that because for those people who believe in the story of Jesus' birth, that the wise men, what did they do? They brought gifts. So the children who celebrate this holiday think it's a great time to get presents. So let's celebrate today and tomorrow the ending of the Christmas season for those who believe. And remember that there are lots of different ways that people around the world celebrate different holidays. So today, we're going to stay in the sanctuary. I'm wondering if before we move into joys and concerns, if parents are okay for kids to go into the fellowship hall and get some activities to enjoy, like drawing material and fidget material. Would y'all like to do that for a minute? I always like fidget material. If the grown-ups want to get some too, that's okay. Nora, can you show people where the fidget materials are? Okay, and then you can help people come back in here. This is a time in the service when we share the joys and the concerns that. Are there any other joys and concerns that we would like to share today? I know that many of us with this cold weather are very concerned about the people in this community and all over the country who are unhoused and sleeping rough. We also are concerned about the welfare of all those trying to survive in the midst of war. So for all that's been shared here and all that we hold in our hearts, let us take a moment of silent prayer and meditation. Spirit of life and love, we hold up today the wonder and mystery of life, the blessings of community, the blessings of having those who support us in times of joy and times of crisis. Today, we're very mindful that this time of the year is very hard on all of us. The changes of season, the celebrations that are both wonderful and challenging. So we hold in our hearts those who have left this life. May they understand how beloved they were, and may they find peace. We hold up also those who are vulnerable and suffering today, not only in the Lynchburg community, but around our country and around the world. May we commit ourselves in this new year to find the work that is ours to do. Sometimes it's very simple things, and sometimes our acts for justice and love and compassion have a much greater impact than we'll ever know. Give us the strength to live love in the world. This we ask in the name of all that is sacred. Amen. Thank you, Emily. How many folks stayed up on New Year's Eve? Yay, we're a fun group. I stayed up, but I didn't even watch the ball drop in Times Square. I still felt like, even watching junk television, that I was joining with millions of people to thankfully bid farewell to 2024. I remember growing up, waiting for the new year, staying up later than I got to stay up all year, imagining that the next morning would be different, glittery or magical somehow. But the sun rose the next day and life went on. I was too young to understand that the new year would be different only if I were different, if I changed my vision of what would be possible in the new year. Many cultures celebrate the new year on different dates around the world, or lunar celebrations, and sometimes just when we don't expect it, we experience flashes of insight that come unexpected into our awareness, and they feel like a new beginning. New beginnings are always auspicious. I'd like to share with you a reading from our hymnal entitled New Year's Day. The 1st of January is another day dawning, the sun rising as the sun always rises, the earth moving in its rhythms. With or without our calendars to name a special day as the day of new beginning, separating the old from the new. So it is, everything is the same, bound into its history as we ourselves are bound. Yet also we stand at a threshold, the new year, something truly new, still unformed, leaving a stunning power in our hands. What shall we do with this great gift of time this year? Let us begin by remembering that whatever justice, whatever peace and wholeness might bloom in our world this year, we are the hearts and minds, the hands and feet, the embodiment of all the best visions of our people. The new year can be a new ground for the seeds of our dreams. Let us take the step forward together onto new ground, planting our dreams faithfully and in joy. It's a new year. New Year's is a time of expectation, excitement, and sometimes anxiety. Will what we hope for happen? Will what we fear come to pass? The reality is that we worry a great deal, but we don't always anticipate what actually happens. However, we can thoughtfully, faithfully, and lovingly focus on our intentions for this coming year, so we can continue to dream about what can be. When we were growing up, I think just about everybody here had the experience of people asking us, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm still asking myself that question. We tell them, but it's interesting that people never ask us what kind of person we want to be. Perhaps that question might help us develop skills to know how to engage with life's unexpected events. What we experience most often sends us on paths that we could not anticipate. And no matter how wonderful, change is anxiety producing. I have this camel here and a bunch of other camels. They're not the cutest, like, mascot or anything, but they remind me that life is always a journey, and sometimes you end up on paths you didn't expect to go on. Today, I'd like for us to consider the lives of two men in our UU history. Many of us know the story of the UU miracle, but today I invite us to consider the dreams that two men had for their lives. In 1770, John Murray and Thomas Potter were very different men who lived on different continents. They both had dreams for their lives. Thomas Potter was a prosperous but illiterate man, an illiterate farmer in what would become New Jersey. He was a man of deep faith who felt led to build a chapel on his property where he trusted God would send a preacher to preach universal salvation and the everlasting love of God. He built a chapel, and then he waited, and he waited, and he waited. Murray was a preacher in England whose spiritual experiences led him to believe not in hellfire, but that God loves all souls. He became a universalist through his reading and his study of Scripture. His preaching of universal salvation was different from the dogmatic hell and brimstone sermons of other preachers in England at that time. It was his dream to spread a word of hope, and he was very unsuccessful at it. His family and friends encouraged him to be a normal preacher. But he believed that universalism was the authentic message of Jesus. And we could only imagine how hard life was in the 1770s, like 250 years ago. Disease was rampant. His wife and baby died after an illness. Murray was devastated and then spent time in debtor's prison because he couldn't pay the medical bills. That feels very modern. Eventually, his brother-in-law bailed him out. Broken in spirit, he was profoundly depressed and grieving. He wanted nothing to do with God or the church or preaching his dream. His life was destroyed. So he decided to go to America to disappear and never wanted to preach again. He felt he had failed in life. Some of us have had life experiences that remind us of how Murray must have felt. We've lost loved ones, experienced cancer or other illness, lost careers. We have seen our dreams and lives broken. Like Murray, it might seem as if our dreams are lost and there won't be any new beginnings for us. No New Year's, no envisioning. We can't imagine that there will be more to life beyond this broken place. The ship on which Murray sailed to America stopped in Philadelphia to let off passengers. Then it began to sail to New York. It ran aground on a sandbar at Good Luck Point, New Jersey. The irony of the name of that place in New Jersey has always brought humor to my heart. Not wanting to be without any of his sailors in case the winds shifted and the sailing ship moved off the sandbar, the captain of the ship sent Murray ashore to get provisions. And so he went ashore, and there was this little settlement. He saw a man sitting on his porch and asked him about where he could get provisions. The man invited him to stay with him and his wife until the wind shifted and the ship could sail. The man was Thomas Potter. After visiting and talking about their lives, Potter asked Murray, "Are you the preacher God promised to send to preach universal salvation in the pulpit of the meeting house I built 20 years ago?" This is where the UU miracle comes in. Murray finally admitted that he had been a preacher but would never preach again. Potter said that God would not let the ship sail until Murray preached from the pulpit of his meeting house. Murray said no, he was not going to preach. Then the days progressed and it got close to the weekend. The winds had not changed. Potter was sure that Murray was his preacher. Finally, after Murray getting pretty nervous, it was Saturday night, and Murray said, "Well, I guess I need to get some notes together." The next morning, which was Sunday, Murray preached the first Universalist sermon in America, entitled, "Give Them Not Hell, but Hope and Courage." That afternoon, the winds changed and the ship sailed to New York. Murray went on to found the first Universalist congregation in America in Gloucester, Massachusetts. He later founded other congregations. He met and married Judith Sargent Murray, and they had 2 children. His original dream of preaching universal salvation was reborn. Often our plans, our dreams, are shaped by life events or time. Potter's dream of a universalist presence in this country became a reality, and his original home site is still a UU center in New Jersey. Murray, whose dream of being a universalist preacher in England was shattered, but he finally found his voice and his calling in the colonies. As we begin this new year, I invite us to consider our hopes and dreams. Sometimes our dreams happen easily, but most of us have lived long enough to realize that life isn't that simple. Potter and Murray both had dreams. Potter was confident that his dream, his vision, was a true one, but he had to wait 20 years for the preacher he thought would come. Murray's dream of ministry was seemingly shattered. He had great loss, and yet his calling, his dream, was fulfilled in a way that he could not possibly have seen or anticipated initially. Sometimes our dreams and hopes are hard-won. Sometimes our dreams evolve. Sometimes we must be incredibly patient. That was true for folks in 1770, and it's true for us today. New Year's celebrations are thresholds for transformation. But actually, those transformations can happen at any moment. If we listen with an open heart and mind, then we will be on a true course. Our hymn, which I love, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place, has these lyrics. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. Each of us will find our own New Year experiences at different moments in our lives, moments that offer us certainty, challenge, and perhaps a new direction. If our heart is in a holy place, we need to listen to the still small voice within that will direct us toward our future. Even when our heart is in a holy place, moments of insight bring events that challenge us, and perhaps we feel that they will break us. Moments of transformation can bring us events that offer us great joy and accomplishment. None of us know what's coming. What we can do is choose how we will engage with whatever happens. And with each new event and each new day, we can choose to engage with the world in a spirit of love and hope and justice. And on the days when we think we are worn down, then we know there is a community of people who will surround us and remind us that we are beloved. They're sitting around us right now. Together, we will live through all that comes into our lives. And in that spirit, I invite us to rise in body or spirit, hymn number 325, and we will sing verses 1, 2, 3, and 5. As our service draws to a close, we extinguish the chalice of our faith, saying these words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. So Zoomies, can you wave goodbye to the Roomies? Roomies, let's say goodbye to the Zoomies. It's wonderful to be together, and we don't have snow at this moment or ice, but we are probably going to have fun times the next 2 or 3 days. One day, yeah, I'm with you. I'd take 4 or 5 hours and then it all melt. So it seems appropriate that our final words of benediction come from John Murray. Go out into the highways and byways. Give the people something of your new vision. You may possess a small light, but uncover it, let it shine. Use it in order to bring more light and understanding to the hearts and minds of men and women. Give them not hell, but hope and courage. Preach the kindness and everlasting love of God. May it be so. Thank you. Go in love and go in peace.